full page. Oh, that hasn't worked. Okay, well it has actually, because there's a bit of a delay. Okay, so this is me. Apologies for not being able to make this a bit bigger and actually see what I'm doing. So I've got several screens. Okay, so here's a bit about me. So you can screenshot this, or I'll have this at the end of the presentation. So the main subject for today is how do you download and install Resolve. So we will crack on with that. And this is to coincide, this should be the first of a series of videos that coincides with me launching through Packet, my second edition video editing book that focuses primarily on the cut page, so for complete beginners. So Packet asked me to start doing some videos, so I said, well, I'll do my own YouTube channel for that. Okay, so firstly, DaVinci Resolve, an overview of it. So we might do another video that goes a bit deeper into this, but essentially it's video editing, color grading, audio editing software that's and also visual effects software that's used in high-end productions, primarily for the visual effects and color grading. But more and more there's a growth of people moving across to it from other software, because once you get your head around the interface being slightly different to other editing software, to actually start using it for social media. And that's what my book's about as well. So as you can see, you can do multi-channel audio recording. You can actually record straight into Resolve using Fairlight. You can do high dynamic range color grading and node-based visual effects comp work. The other huge advantage to Resolve is available on Mac, Windows and Linux. So it's what we call platform agnostic. So you can download it whatever computer you can be using. So some software like Final Cut 10 or Final Cut Pro is only available on Apple. Okay. The other most asked question is, what's the difference between the free version and the studio version of DaVinci Resolve? Well, obvious one is the free version is free. DaVinci Resolve Studio costs some money, but it's not a yearly license, it's a forever license. Okay, and so when did I buy Studio? I think it was version 17, and we're on to version 20 now, and I haven't had to pay for any updates. So updates, your license carries across onto the new version. So that's £270 for life. Actually, when I bought it, it was £299. So, oh, hello. We got people in the comments popping up saying hi. So, hello, Alfie, Casson, Julian. How old am I? Yeah, that's not a question I'm going to be answering live on a live stream. Yeah, so interesting chats. Can you keep your chats to just stuff about Resolve, please? Okay, so the main differences between having the studio version, apart from price, is DaVinci Resolve, the free version, you can do Ultra HD or Ultra High Definition, which is sort of 4K for broadcast. So some people say, oh yeah, Resolve free doesn't do 4K. Well, it does, it's just the 4K version for broadcast. So that's pretty amazing. For resolution wise, for studio, it can go unlimited resolution, so greater than 8K, and there's no one doing anything above that at the moment. But Blackmagic have got a 12K camera, so who knows? So that's the other advantage, is Blackmagic Design, who created DaVinci Resolve, also make it work with their cameras. So as they're pushing forward with the latest technology for their cameras, they're also pushing Resolve to match the technology that's capable on their cameras. Magic Mask is an AI tool that helps you separate, so identifies people in the people and objects in the software and can actually separate them from the background, but it uses AI, and that's quite expensive. So clearly you need a license for that, which is pretty cheap considering that's a forever license. So that's not in the free version. So sort of like a very, very quick and easy version of rotoscoping. Audio transcription, again, relies on AI. So people might be used to that in Adobe Premiere, but you pay for Adobe Premiere. So audio transcription is in the studio version, but it's not in the free version. 3D camera tracking, so that's to do with stabilization. So to do with special effects. So that's not in the free version. So it's more of these are more advanced things that you'd rely on, and that's in the studio. You can still access some of the plugins and the effects, the visual effects, in Resolve, but they'll be watermarked, as in they won't have a watermark on them in the studio. And Dolby Atmos sound mixing you can do free, because normally you'd have to pay for a license to do that inside DaVinci Resolve Studio. So it's not an additional plugin, it's actually incorporated into DaVinci Resolve. So as you can see, the difference between the free version and the studio version is features that more high-end professionals would need, and hence they can afford £270 to buy it. So the other question that likely is to come up is, and this can happen with some other software, where, okay, well, I did stuff in the free version, but I can't move it across to the professional version. And that's not true with Resolve. So you can start with the free version, use it, and then when you pay for the studio version, all your free projects and all your free video edits and stuff will open up with completely intact. You don't have to convert it across or worry about losing your work. And those studio FX that have watermarks on, it will just remove the watermarks. Again, also, if you decide not to have studio, and you want to open up a studio project in the free version, it goes both ways. Okay, so it's not like it's limited to one or the other. So both versions will read each other's files. The main difference is the watermark, or you won't see some of those other features. But if you have created it already with those things, they'll still be in there. Okay, just you won't be able to edit. So if you use Magic Mask, you won't be able to edit it in the free version. Okay, so that's an overview of DaVinci Resolve. So before we get into the practical, the other question, and I offer certified training courses in DaVinci Resolve, and one of the most popular questions I get before I even start teaching the certification as a Blackmagic Design training partner is, where do I download it from? So remember, we said that you can download a PC version, an Apple version, and a Linux version. So all three of those are available on Blackmagic Design's website. Okay. There is an option, a second option, if you have an Apple computer. And so another common question is, what's the difference? And there is a difference. I'll just go through those very briefly. One advantage of having the Apple Store, and I've got both. So if you see down here, where is it? Yeah. So this one with the white background is the Apple Store version. And that's the free version. And I've downloaded the studio version. The one with the color background to the icon is the Blackmagic Design one from their website. Okay, so that's how you visually tell the difference. So, yeah. So where was I? Yeah, so one of the advantages of the Apple Store one, it will automatically update to the latest version. And so that's handy. Though it has to wait until Blackmagic Design have updated it first on their website, and also it goes through extra security checks with Apple. So it might be like two days out of date of the updates on Blackmagic. So you might have to wait 2 days to get the latest version. So that's a slight disadvantage, but So usually I'll download the full version from Blackmagic's website, and then maybe it's the next day or maybe 2 days later, then the one I have through my Apple account will update as well to those new features. The disadvantage of the Apple one is because of this is not to do with Blackmagic. So there's all sorts of forums out there. They're going, oh yeah, why did Blackmagic limit it for Apple? It's not to do with them. It's to do with Apple, because if you have apps on that Apple Store, it has to go through certain protocols that Apple have put in place around security. So it does mean that you're going to be limited to the different third-party plugins that you want to install into Resolve. Whereas if you go for the full version of DaVinci Resolve from Blackmagic Design's website, then you can install any plugins that you want, but you just have to check the source of where you get those from. And then the other one's about APIs, but that's more a coding thing, and that's more advanced. So I'll just go to my App Store just to show you the difference. So did I have it open before? Okay, here we are. So here's the App Store one, and I'll just make that a bit bigger so you can see. There we are. I've already installed it, so I could just click open and it would open it. And you can see the Apple Store version of DaVinci Resolve has got a white border around it, and there's the ratings reviews. Yeah, so there's no harm. You can install this or uninstall it. Here you can see the other aspect of this is so roughly, if you've got a computer, you need it to have at least 4 gig, if not more, because you need a bit more space when you're installing, on your hard drive, free, available to install either app. So this is the Apple Store one, and you can just search for DaVinci Resolve in the top left-hand side, and it should come up. So let's do that now. I'm already on it. Let's go somewhere else so we can see that. So we just search for DaVinci Resolve, and there we are. We've got all the results for DaVinci Resolve. Oh, and also it's slightly pricier on Apple Store for the studio version. So it's $270 on Blackmagic's website, whereas it's just under $300 on the Apple Store for the full studio version. So there we are. There's DaVinci Resolve. There's DaVinci Resolve Studio. I can open that up. And if I want to purchase it, which I'm not going to through Apple, I can just click it on there. Okay, so that's the Apple Store version. And the Blackmagic Design website, so let's go there. Now, I have put the link in the description on YouTube. So hopefully you've read that. And if you want to follow along, do so here. So I've actually already scrolled to the part where it's got where you install. So if we come all the way up, when you first come to this website, it starts with an introduction around DaVinci Resolve. You can see it's being used in Marvel films. It's got all the different names of the films down there. So, and that's the other question I often get asked, particularly from content makers, people doing social media, beginners into the film world, and strangely they say, oh, it must be rubbish because it's free. Film industry doesn't use it, don't know where they get that whole concept from, because they've never heard of it before. So essentially it's top-end software that's become free. It used to cost 10 grand to get access to DaVinci Resolve in the early days, and so it's now they've got a version that's free, and that's not because it's rubbish software, but it's to enable. This is funny, isn't it? When you start giving away stuff for free, people, the psychology of saying, oh, it must be bad quality because it's free. So it's because of their generosity that they want to encourage new people into the industry who haven't got the money to start out using DaVinci Resolve. So learn your skills on the free software. And I do teach other software, but unfortunately sometimes they have like £1,000 or £10,000 subscription for the year on professional film industry stuff. So it's prohibitively expensive if you want to learn those skills to get into the industry. And that's also why I love DaVinci Resolve, because it's professional quality, it's very powerful, and yet free. And I used to run programs for young people to get into the industry, and that's why I chose DaVinci Resolve as a starting point. And finishing point now, I converted across. So I did teach Premiere originally. Okay, so here you'll have an overview of what Resolve can do. And that's the other thing that's unique about Resolve. It's, well, five pieces of software in one, because I'm including the media management aspect. So you can edit, you can color, you can do audio, and you can do visual effects. And these are essentially 5 different pieces of software, but inside the one thing. They're not plugins. So the other thing when people talk about other software is to go, oh, it does color, it does audio, and you go, yeah, but that's a plugin. That's not a full-featured range. And I'll do more videos on that later. So this is also primarily why Resolve is one of the main color grading software tools in the film industry. And I have come across, sorry, I'll slow that down, have come across producers and directors who tell me they've been using Fusion, or people working in post using Fusion. There are other software that's primarily used in the film industry. So we'll cover all the things every time you come to this page, the things that are new, which I'm not going to go into all this because that would be teaching you everything. So I could spend a year teaching everything about Resolve and still not scratch the surface of it. Multi-user collaboration, meaning that you can work in Resolve and somebody else can access the same file and you can work together across the world. That used to be only for the studio version, and recently they've made that since lockdown, because of the need to start collaborating across the world and you can go into post houses, they've made this part of the free version as well using Blackmagic Cloud. So that's pretty amazing. I might do a session on that in the future as well. So you're all working on the same project together. You don't have to finish your bit and then send it off to someone. You can actually work on it together, which speeds up the post. And here we are. So these are the main pages in Resolve, and this is the huge difference. So each of these is essentially a different piece of software, but you just click on the page and it will take you to it, rather than you having to export out, like say for example Adobe Premiere will have After Effects, but you still have to link it through to After Effects and you're going into a different piece of software, and even then there can be issues with that. Never had any crashes with going from one page to the other. It's very bulletproof. So we got the edit page where you can edit. The cut page, which is what my book's about, is the sort of fast workflow and very social media orientated workflow. So it's another way to edit basically. So the edit page is more advanced editing, whereas if you want to do something a bit quicker, use the cut page. Color page, which we've already spoken about. Fusion, which is this 3D animation composite tool. It's not layer based like After Effects, but you can actually do 3D animations in there as well. And Fairlight, which is the audio. Right, and then finally, from what I gather from other trainers, and also why it's used a lot in the film industry, is Resolve works with more file types and delivery formats than some of the other post-production software that's available. And it includes over 100 GPU accelerated video and film effects. So there's a lot of plugins already included for free in Resolve, and plus you can download them all, purchase independent third-party plugins as well that work in Resolve. It does have an AI neural engine, so I will pointing this out. I'm not a huge fan of AI because particularly if it's copying other people's work and then profiting off other creators' work. And I also believe humans have a better eye for things, because AI is just an average engine, so it just takes averages and churns that out. One of the good things about Blackmagic Design is they don't copy. So it's what you call a closed model. Okay, so they don't take your images and then say we're going to feed it to everyone else, like some other software does in their user agreements. So if you upload stuff into other software's cloud systems, it's in their user agreement that they can use it to train their AI. And you don't really want that, because then other people will be copying your style. Blackmagic AI, which has been around a lot longer than this whole generative AI, is assistive. It's trained on their own independently created models. And when it works on your stuff, there are some advanced options where you can feed a model into it, but it doesn't go onto the internet. Blackmagic don't own your content, so hence they can't use it to train their AI models. Whereas in some other software, which I won't mention, it's in the user agreement that they own your content, and that I think that's quite dangerous. So it works also with third-party plugins and storage systems, etc. And you can work on loads of different monitors. So it supports different monitors, which I've got on mine as well. And of course, they don't make their money through the software, but they make their money through these extra editing things as you get more advanced. I'm not going to cover that today, but I do have this one. And I'm going to suggest, if you go for the studio version, you see it's only £305 for the speed editor, which is this thing. Buy that, because it includes the studio version for free. So you're essentially getting that for 30 quid, 35 quid. Okay, so that is better value to buy that, which includes the studio version for free. And often, if you buy their cameras, actually all of their cameras include the studio version of Resolve for free. And all these control systems include the studio version for free. Okay, so they have got color panels. These two include the free version of the studio, and the micro doesn't, which is interesting. And I've got one. I came first in the Blackmagic Design Trainers Quiz, and so they sent me out a micro color panel for free, so as a prize for winning the Christmas quiz last month. So I might do some tutorials on that. Do let me know in the chat if that's of interest to you. And then if you're going to advance more into audio engineering, you can buy their panels, which work with Resolve. But this is not about all that sort of advanced film industry stuff. Though it's good to know that as you develop your skill set, that you're not limited, that you can actually grow to actually building a full, complete studio. And I think that's fantastic. You won't be able to do that with CapCut or other more basic software. So if your channel or your studio grows and you've got a real big following on YouTube, you might want to then expand your ability to do more professional stuff. So there we are. Back to this. So 2 versions, and we've already covered the outline of what those 2 versions entail. So if you want the free one, just click the free download now button. And if you want to buy it, you've got this. So it says 225. It's a shame because they're professional. That's the ex-VAT. So if we click on this, you'll actually see the real price. So there are ex-VAT is 225. VAT is £45. So it's 270. Though if you're VAT registered, it's essentially costing you £225. And then you can just click the number of copies that you want and then pay. If they've given you a promo code, you can always use that. Okay, so that's that's where I would go if I wanted the studio version. As you can see, that's cheaper than the Apple Studio version, which has its limitations as well. So So going back, okay, the browser's a bit slow there. Okay, so here we are. We have the free version, so you can click this button. You've also got down here, these take you to the same place, and these buttons take you to the same place. Okay, I think the main thing here is it actually tells you what version we've got. So 20 is the latest version. So we're going to click on the free download now button. And here you have it. You have options. Now it doesn't say free on this page, so this might confuse some. Go for this one on the left. The studio version is the one you pay for. Okay, and you've got 4 operating system, because there's two versions of Windows. I have a Mac, so I'm going to click on Mac OS 10, but if you have a Linux computer, you can click on that. Windows, you can click on which version of Windows you've got. So this is to do with the chip, by the way. But I'm not a Windows user, so I'm not going to do that. So here, this is the latest version, 20.3.1. If you want the free version, you need to register for the free version. These little asterisks mean these are essential information they need from you. They're giving you this for free. So put your name in here, like any other free software. You usually have to register to download it. So your name, your email, your phone number, your street, your city, your state, your zip code. And then you don't have to say this, how you use this product, which features you should add. Once you register, it will download it. Okay, I'm not going to put these in because I don't want you to know where specifically I live. I know some people watching will know that. So I am going to skip out of that. And I'm just going to check that there's no other questions. So one question was about my age. So I'm just going to shut down the App Store and come back and just see there's no, yeah, that was it for the slides. Yeah, so coming back to you guys here, so the live stream, let's see if we have any questions. Okay. Where did my questions go to? There we are. There, just checking my chat. And then I will find where I've already downloaded some installs. So it downloads as a zipped file. And my Streamlabs is not showing any questions, and I have signed into chat and that's not working, so I do apologize for that. So yeah, I've already clicked allow access several times. So yeah, tech things, I can't know everything about tech. Let's come back there. Oh, there we are, there's the questions there, right. Okay, so no, this is not a gay stream. As I said, please keep your chats around DaVinci Resolve. That was, so no specific questions around Resolve. Okay, so I'm going to go and find where I've previously downloaded. So let's find that. So yeah, do ask if you have any questions, and I will endeavour to answer them. So here, this is what it looks like once it's downloaded. Okay, so we can see this is that's the studio version. So the latest studio version, because it says studio in there, the free one would look something like that. No, these are all studios. And these are fusions. Okay, Oh, that's right, because I do the free one through Apple. So here's the studio version, but it's the same method to install. There's nothing different in the way you install it, and the studio is slightly larger, so it's 7 gig, as you can see there. So that's 7 gig. So there we are. It's a zip archive, and what happens is when you click it, once it's downloaded, it will expand that zip, and then on Apple and Windows will be similar. There will be like a zipped file or a compressed file, and expand it and then load up the installer. So we're going to look at that now. You see, it's just expanding it. No, just have to wait to see if there's any other questions. Nope. Okay, so once we have that installer, the zip is compressed. So I'll show you, a zip is a compressed file, so it makes it smaller in size to download. So the unzipped folder will look like this. Okay, so this DMG for Apple is your installer application, and then I've unzipped it, so I just have to click on that, and this is the installer. It looks the same. It just has the word studio here for studio, but if this is the free version, it would look exactly the same. So what comes with installation is we have the Resolve manual, and that's no different between the studio and the free version. So it's the same reference manual. They haven't updated it since July, so they might be missing some additional features that are more recent. But you can, this is massively long. So I think it's, actually if I scroll down, I'll be able to figure that one out. Actually that's preview, so if I open it up. And you can also access this manual from inside Resolve, so you don't have to sort of drag this to your desktop to install it. And then you've got here's the manual. So if I wait, so you can see it's 4,234 pages long. But the great thing with this, if you're stuck on something, you can always search for a word in there because it's a PDF. But 4,234 pages. So even though I'm a Blackmagic design trainer, there are things that I don't know about Resolve, because that's a lot of information to absorb and understand. So I always like learning from other people as well. So okay, so that's the manual. If you've already got Resolve installed and you want to uninstall it, you can click uninstall, and then this final option, install Resolve. So let's click on that. So, and then it should go to the next page. So I'll just come back to you guys, see if there's any questions. Yeah, keep your chat to Resolve, please. I'm going to have to yeah, I don't want to have to block people. So I don't want to have fine details about anything personal about your evolutions. So here we are. So we've come to the installer. So we're about to install Resolve. It just gives you an overview of what Resolve includes. We click through. Here's your user agreement. You can save your user agreement separately, so you can read it later. So we can just click save and read that later. But these are the actually not the user agreement, it's the sort of updates. Apologies there. So it's the new things that are included within Resolve 20.3.1. And also another common question is, what sort of computer do I need, the minimum spec to be able to run Resolve. So it's there in the installer, but I'll show you later where to find that on Blackmagic Design's own website as well before you install it. Okay, so we click continue. This is taking us down here. Here's the user agreement. This one you can click save. Okay, and you can read it later, or you can read it first before you agree. So if we go continue, you are agreeing, and you've got a button there to agree to their user agreement. Okay, installation. Okay, so it's 11.52 gig of space on your computer. So it's often because it has to use space to install. And then you would click install, which I'm not going to do because I'm going to write over, but I'm going to show you a trick on how to install another copy of Resolve before I click install. Okay, so we've also got custom options. So we've got a standard install, which has got these tick boxes there. You've got Blackmagic Raw Player that enables you to view raw footage. These ones are skipped, but if you are going to do more advanced stuff with audio and FX stuff, you can install those. And bearing in mind this is the studio version, so these options won't be there for the free version. And the free version is smaller than this. So go back to standard install, and I'm going to go into my applications and then show you a trick for how do I not overwrite what I've already got installed here. So this is what it looks like. This is the Apple version because we can see the white border, and this is the studio version inside a folder, and it's got all the apps that come with the full version, all the extra stuff. So how I would do that if I want to, and when I'm writing my book, I had to have version 19 and 20, and sometimes I had 18, because when I'm training, people say, can you teach an older version? So this is what I do here, is just change the name of the software, and so this is 20, and the folder. So I'm just going to put my password in, because you're not going to see that. Oh, typed it in wrong. Okay, so, and then I'm just going to change the folder name. So no, this is 20. So when I click install, it's going to create a new folder called DaVinci Resolve, and it won't write over my old one called 20. So it's looking for one that's already called DaVinci Resolve to update it. If I change the name of the folder, then it won't overwrite this. And so on my other laptop, I've got like DaVinci Resolve 19, DaVinci Resolve 18 for training purposes. Reason I changed this is if I change this and I load up the icons down here, it will actually come up with the name there, so I know the difference between the two. So it's going to do that when I refresh it. Okay, so there's a tip for you. And that's also in a lot of the forums, is can you install more than one version of Resolve? Well, not officially. There's no button to click. You just rename your folders. And then we're going to click install. Okay, again, you put in your computer password. And then click install software. And so it's just going to write these files to your computer. So I'm just going to check that there's no other questions. Okay, so the reason I have the ability to ask questions on a live stream is it almost feels pointless to do something live without enabling questions to be asked, hoping I'm as comprehensive as possible. However, you know, that's out of respect. Please keep the chat to only Resolve. So if I get people that start just doing it for their own political reasons or other chats that got nothing to do with Resolve, I'm going to block you. Okay, so that's a warning. So please just remove those comments, and they will not be published. So it's not a chat group. It's not a social group. So, right, we're just waiting for that to write. So what I might do is open up Resolve, and I'll do the free version this time. So my Apple free version, and I'll show you where you can. It's not 33 minutes. It's a lot quicker than that. Anyway, 7 minutes. So I'm just going to open this up to show you where you can get that user manual and what happens when you first open up Resolve. So when you first open up Resolve, it comes into this page called the Project Manager. When you first install it, it doesn't. It comes up with some questions around installation. I've got a section on that in my book about those pages, so I'll have to wait for Resolve to install to show you those pages and what it asks you. And I'm going to explain that, and then that will be the end of the video, because we've already downloaded Resolve, we're installing Resolve, and then we'll open this up so you can get you started. And interestingly, YouTube says is the most commonly asked question regarding DaVinci Resolve is how to install it. So also that's hence why this video. So, okay, install time remaining about a minute. So as you can see, I'll just describe this interface. This is the project manager, and I've created folders here. Okay, so I can organize all my different projects. But essentially, when you first open it up, it won't have all these folders. It will just have this one called Untitled Project. Oh, here we are. Installation was successful. Okay, so we're going to close that. And I'm just going to go to where it's installed, which should be on my computer again. Let's go back to Applications, and we should see a second folder. So going down to DaVinci Resolve. And you can see here now, that wasn't there before, this new folder called DaVinci Resolve. So remember, I renamed DaVinci Resolve 20, or DaVinci Resolve and DaVinci Resolve 20. I've now got one called DaVinci Resolve. So that's what I've just downloaded. So we're going to open this up. And it might not actually ask me installation questions because I've already got everything installed. So we'll just see. Hasn't. Okay. But let's just show you another advantage. So I'd have to wipe everything off my computer. So I might do another one about that. Another stream. Which I don't want to wipe stuff off my computer. So one advantage is if you are installing this, it doesn't wipe all your old projects. So that's another big question people have is, if I'm installing an update, will it wipe all my old projects? Yeah, no, they're still all here. You can still open them all. So I'm just going to close that and go back to the free version. So I'm going to open that up again. Okay, so let's open up a new project, this untitled project. This is new with 20. It actually asks you to name the project. Older versions, you just opened it up. You don't have to name it. You don't have to say where to store it. So when you first open up a project in Resolve, I'm just going to call this test for live stream. And then this is your default media location. So this is where it's going to save all your media for your project. And traditionally, Resolve wouldn't ask you that. And so some people got lost. Where's all my media to do with my project? I want to share it with other people. You can always change locations. If you click that button, you can actually say, okay, I want it stored here, over here, etc. So let's do that. New folder. And actually, I'm not going to do that because I'm just going to keep. I've got a folder I've created called DaVinci Resolve Media, and all the media associated with my different projects is there. So I'm not going to change that location. By default, it is in on an Apple. It's in your media section on an Apple. So it's a default location under your user account. So, okay, so we're going to create a new project, test for live stream. So we're going to click create, and it opens up Resolve, and here's the Resolve interface. We have a help section up the top. So if I click help, you can see there's my reference manual. Okay, and if I wanted to read the manual that we showed, it's about sort of 4,000 and a bit pages, I can load it up there. We've also got a website where myself as a trainer and other trainers, other certified DaVinci Resolve trainers, are actually listed. So you can click that and it'll take you to that website. So here's the website that's just come up. So it's got the American site where you can click this and go to the UK site. So that comes up to if you want certified training. And then coming back to help on Resolve. And then there's more advanced documentation that comes with Resolve if you're doing more advanced stuff. So I'm not going to go into the interface or huge things about this because I'm doing a course coming up. And by default, it opens in the cut page, so the easier to use page that's less cluttered. So there we have it. And we have a section here about Resolve, which will tell you what version you're on if you're wondering. If I'm training you, I'll say, what version are you on? You say, I don't know, just go into the About page and it will tell you what build number it is as well. So that's it. I'm just going to check for any final questions. So just going over here, click on my live stream. No, don't see any extra questions. I'll just wait a few minutes. Okay. Nope. So that was it. Okay, so hopefully that's comprehensive enough. You can always message me because there's a chat section in YouTube around questions to do with Resolve. If it's stuff that's personal or not relevant to DaVinci Resolve, then I will not answer them and I will delete those questions. So, but please, I am happy to ask any questions around DaVinci Resolve. Okay, so we're just going to end that stream. So I wish you a good day. Hopefully you enjoyed that, and I am going to stop my stream. So I'll come up with my details about me. So there's all my socials, and we will now end the stream. So bye-bye.